Good Monday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Conversation with Eileen News. Glad you all could be with us. Well, it's a brand new day. It's a brand new week, which means it's a brand new opportunity for you to do something amazing, and it all begins today. We, of course, you have your news headlines coming up on this Monday with a message from my book, Words That Choose to Live By, and in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you're going to be hearing part of my conversation with travel expert Eileen Ogintz discussing what you need to know about taking a cruise this year. You don't want to miss that. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation with Eileen News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Monday headlines. In national news, Tyre Nichols' case revives calls for change in police culture. An unarmed black man dies after a videotaped beating by police. The officers involved are fired. After a thorough review of the evidence, criminal charges are swiftly filed against the offending officers. Investigation, accountability, and charges. This is often the most black citizens can hope for as the death continues, says the Associated Press. Nationwide, police have killed roughly 3 people per day consistently since 2020, according to academics and advocacies for police reform who track such deaths. Tyre Nichols' fatal encounter with police officers in Memphis, Tennessee, recorded in video made public Friday night, is a glaring reminder that efforts to reform policing have failed to prevent more flashpoints in an intractable epidemic of brutality. Nearly 32 years ago, Rodney King's savage beating by police in Los Angeles prompted heartfelt calls for change. They've been repeated in a ceaseless rhythm ever since, punctuated by deaths such as Oscar Grant, Michael Brown, and others. George Floyd's murder in Minneapolis in 2020 was so agonizing to watch, it summoned a national reckoning that featured in federal legislation proposed in his name and shows of solidarity by corporations and sports leagues. All fell short of the shift in law enforcement culture black people in America have called for, says the Associated Press, a culture that promotes freedom from fear, trust in police, and mutual respect. The 5 black officers in the Memphis, Tennessee case are fired and charged with murder and other crimes in the January 10th death of Nichols, a 29-year-old skateboarder, FedEx worker, and father to a 4-year-old boy. From police brass in the district attorney's office to the White House, officials said Nichols' death points to a need for bolder reforms that go beyond simply diversifying the ranks, changing use of force rules, and encouraging citizens to file complaints. President Joe Biden joined national civil rights leaders in similar calls for action. But Memphis, whose 628,000 residents celebrate barbecue and blues music and lament being the place where Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, has seen this before. The city took steps advocates called for in a reimagined policing initiative in 2021 and mirrored a set of policy changes reformers want all departments to implement immediately, known as 8 Can't Wait. The Associated Press says the Nichols case, just one of the brutality cases to make national news this month, exposes an uncomfortable truth. More than 2 years since the deaths of Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Rayshard Brooks touched off protests, police reforms have not significantly reduced such killings. In more national news, Biden and McCarthy to discuss debt limit in talks on Wednesday. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said Sunday he's looking forward to discussing with President Joe Biden a reasonable and responsible way that we can lift the debt ceiling when the two meet Wednesday for their first sit-down at the White House since McCarthy was elected to the post. McCarthy said he wants to address spending cuts along with raising the debt limit, even though the White House has ruled out linking those two issues together as the government tries to avoid a potentially devastating financial default. The Speaker pledged that cuts to Social Security and Medicare would be off the table. I know the President said he didn't want to have any discussion on cuts, but I think it's very important that our whole government is designed to find compromise. McCarthy told CBS's Face the Nation, I want to sit down together, work out an agreement that we can move forward to put us on a path to balance and at the same time not put any of our debt in jeopardy at the same time. Asked whether he would make a guarantee, McCarthy said there will not be a default, though he suggested the declaration depended on the willingness of Biden and Democrats to negotiate. In entertainment news, Smokey Robinson, king of Motown, to release new solo album. It's been nearly a decade since Smokey Robinson's last album, but new music from the king of Motown is on the horizon, says the Associated Press. Robinson will release the 9-track album Gasms on April 28th. The music legend behind hits like My Girl and The Way You Do the Things You Do announced last week. Gasms featured new songs produced and written by Robinson himself. The former vice president of Motown Records released his last collaborative album 9 years ago, Smokey and Friends, which featured musicians like Elton John, John Legend, Steven Tyler, and Mary J. Blige. And finally, in more entertainment news, Avatar 2 tops the box office for 7th weekend. Avatar The Way of Water claimed the #1 spot on the domestic box office charts for the 7th weekend in a row with an additional $16 million, according to studio estimates on Sunday. That made the top 5 movies over the weekend. #1, Avatar The Way of Water with $16 million. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish with $11 million. #3, A Man Called Otto with $7 million. #4, Megan with $6 million. And #5, Pathan with $6 million. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Monday, everyone, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. Your life is not a failure. Your future is still ahead. The ending you want is still possible, and your best days can still be ahead. Have an amazing Monday. We are part of my conversation coming up with Eileen Ogintz, today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us, you're listening to Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Travel Agent Eileen Ogintz joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about what you guys should know when it comes to traveling this year, especially when it comes to taking a cruise. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Really, Eileen, glad to have you back on with us. Thanks for the time.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, look, this is definitely your wheelhouse, Eileen, so you're the perfect person to talk to when it comes to travel, especially when it comes to cruises. Which travel trends are you looking forward to this year, especially when it comes to cruises, Eileen?
Well, cruising is more popular than ever, especially with new itineraries, food venues, and onboard entertainment for all ages. There's a big focus on immersive programming and food that focuses on the destination, like in Alaska. Plus, cruises are a great option for multi-gen families who want to explore together without the stress of planning, navigating from place to place. And as to convenience, Carnival operates from more U.S. ports than any other cruise line. Roughly half the population is within a 5-hour drive.
Love that. Well, as I mentioned, one of the things that we're in an interesting times, we're kicking off a new year. Of course, we look at this typically as the first quarter, but for those looking to travel, Eileen, they recognize this as wave season. So what is wave season, and how can we add value to our cruise experience during this time?
Well, wave season lasts from now until March, and it's the most affordable time to book a cruise because the cruise lines have rolled out all kinds of discounted deals and fares to celebrate the start of the year. I've seen deals like 25% off Seabourn's luxury expedition cruises to the Arctic and Antarctica. Princess Cruise Line guests can save up to 35% off, whether they want to go to the Caribbean or Alaska.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversations Daily News. Prepare to go on tomorrow's more news, message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Now let's go make it a great one.